Hi guys, today we're going to be doing a video using our Cricut craft room, and it's for a lovely Valentine's card. Okay, so what I want is the Love Struck cartridge, and I want this heart and also its base layer. So we're going to double click on that. Whoops, I've got two of them and one of those. Let's get rid of one. You don't need to double click. And then we're going to move that up out the way. Now normally I change the colour, but red does seem appropriate. Now I need to find a card base and something that's already pre-done I thought would be quite helpful. So we've got something like Just Because cards, or oh, here we go, hold on, I know what we've got. Creative cards, let's have a look. We've got some interesting cards on here, and then we've got the envelope to match as well, which is always fun. So I think this nice square card here will be good. Pop that on, and I'm not going to put the ISO and then the matching envelope for the moment, so then we'll make that small. Pop that over to one side, and then we want to make that 5 inches tall. We're going to take the base piece here. We'll stop messing around, and I'm going to change that to 3 inches height, and then I'm going to take that, in theory, here we go, and pop that in position like so. So then we've got those two, and I'm going to group it together so that now when I move it, it moves as one. Just move that out the way, and then I'm going to take my corner here that's for turning, and then turn that around and just bring that down and over to this corner so that this just then will fit in and we can cut it out. And I really do want to take this red off because I'm finding that annoying, I think. That's better. Then I want to get my heart here, and I want to put that to the 3 inches as well. So that's matching. And that looks like we're going to have to put that on a separate mat. So add a mat. And then copy, close this mat, paste. You can see it is this one because it's that disgusting yellow colour. Put that over, I'm going to put that in the other corner just because then it's a different place that's cutting on your mat, you're not constantly cutting in the same places. So what we're going to have, if I just hide this layer, is a card with a heart-shaped aperture right in the middle of it. I then have a layer, very pretty layer, which will fit over that aperture. Okay, so I've adjusted an envelope to be the biggest that it can be, so I've had to adjust the size of the card very slightly. So I'm just taking it down so that it's actually 10 inches now height, and I'm just trying to grab hold of, oops, I need you, this blue layer, because obviously I need to just very slightly adjust that. Actually, it just occurred to me that I do want to add just something else. I want to go to this Creative Cards, and I want to add this in. I need to rotate it. I think for the purpose of what I'm doing, it'll be okay. And this one I also want to have the heart cut out of. So we're just going to size it like so, so that we have a nice little border like this. And then I want to get rid of that layer for a minute. I need to somehow get hold of that heart. So let's ungroup. Right. There it is. So I want that, and I want to copy it, and then I want to go to my layer here, get rid of that layer, paste. Yes, that worked. Okay. Then we need to click on here. Where's that colour? Can't work with colour. Can't see. So what I'm trying to do is line up the two hearts. There we go. And then my layer will have the same hole. Okay, let's go back to the layer, get rid of that one. Now, group. Okay, so now that's grouped, and that should now perfect match to that. So then we've got a layer for our card. We've got our card base, so there's going to be two pieces with an aperture, and then we've got our actual heart element, and then we've also got our elephant. We haven't got an elephant. Envelope. You could also name all these layers if you wanted to. That. Card. So now you know what all the different layers are for, so then we're going to go save. I've already given it a name, so it's called Love Struck Card, so that's nice and simple. So now just want to cut each element in turn. So we're going to connect the computer to the Mini and get cutting. So we're just going to pop it on here, and I've got my mat ready here, and then we're going to go in and we're going to load our mat. There we go, and then we're going to click cut, and then it's saying how do you want to, because we've got several layers, so it's saying do you want to cut them, which one do you want to cut basically. Do you want to cut all the layers separately, so one at a time, and then you'll keep loading the mat? But I think for that really it would be more hard to do if you didn't have several mats preloaded. So I'm going to go for the one that I actually want to cut, which is called card, which is this layer. Okay, so now we're just going to click on cut, and off it goes. Now this is a brand new mat that I'm using, so it's quite sticky. So it does make it a little bit more difficult to get off the mat. And you can see how it speeds up around the bits that are easier for it to do. So the Cricut Mini is much more intuitive than the other machines that they've used. And now it's going to my centrepiece. And where it's got sort of bits that are more detailed, it will slow down like there as it coming to the end, but where it's got more straighter pieces or easier pieces to cut, it will speed up. So now it's finished on that layer, so we're just going to eject, and then we're just going to remove the excess off so we can see our card base. There we go, for that piece. And then we've actually got an extra piece here, like a heart piece here, which we might be able to make use of. And so we'll pop that to one side, either in this card or another card. And then now you could use your spatula for this, or you can just pull it off very gently by hand. And you can see how by adding that heart in the middle we've created, and it's sticking itself back down, we've created our aperture. So I'm just going to bend that so it straightens it up. So that's really, really nice, and we can decide which way around we want it. No, we can't. It's this way around because otherwise the heart would be the wrong way around. So then we'll score and fold that properly. I won't do it now. So put those pieces to one side, and then we're going to layer the mat up ready for the next piece. So that's the next layer that we're going to cut out. So we're going to put our piece of paper onto our mat for that. I'm going to load my mat into my machine. It's similar weight cardstock, so I'm going to leave it on the same settings, and I'm just going to click cut. Now this one is going to be a little bit more complicated because it is a lot more to it. Oh, hold on a minute. Stop. Okay, what I did wrong there, and just what I'm going to do now first is load this back up again, is I forgot to change the layer on my actual cutting. So I started to cut the card again, and that's not what we wanted to do. So I want it to go to the heart because that's the layer that I want to cut. So it is important to remember that even though you can see the layer on the one on your actual Cricut craft room, you need to make sure that your actual cut window here, you have changed the layer to the one that you actually want to cut, which I didn't do. Okay, so now we're going to cut again, and hopefully this time it will work. There we go, that's in the right place. And as I was saying before, I realised I made a mistake, is that it is going to be a bit more detailed, and I'm hoping that at this size it's going to work all right. I've never cut it quite this small. And you can see again how it slows down in order to take that into account with the detail. Okay, so here comes the moment of truth really as to whether this is cut okay. Unload our mat, and it seems to be alright, but it's very thin in certain areas, so we'll have to see if we can get that off okay. Okay, I think that's come out really nicely. I'm surprised at how well that's cut really, actually. I have to be honest, I didn't expect it to cut those thin pieces. I actually think I could have gone down to number 4 on the blade. I think that may well have made it a slightly better cut, because when I look at my mat it has quite cut into it quite a lot, so that suggests that it was possibly just a little bit heavy, and I might have got away with the lighter cut. Okay, so that's that finished. So now let's eject our mat, and that's all our layers done. So we just take the excess off the outside again. I always like to take the excess away first because you can then kind of see what you've got. And in this case we've got a lovely layer for our card. So very gently with this because this is our paper again. And this is got an aperture which will match the aperture hopefully on our card. So that will then create a really nice layer. But also we've managed to create a very cute little heart which we can use and keep for another card, or on this card, whichever. And then we're finished on this machine, so we're going to just then start putting the actual card together. Okay, so here are all our pieces, and I've added to that pile a piece of acetate which I think you can just about see, and it's just a rough square to the sizing of the card base that we need. It may need a little bit of cutting down yet, but at the moment it's just roughly the right size. So the first thing we want to do, to put these pieces to one side, is grab our card base and our envelope and score and fold those. So just taking our scoreboard here, this is my Martha Stewart scoreboard, I'm just going to line this up and gently score through. Right, that's not quite in the right place there. And I think this is just a case of trying to find a line and just score it. There we go. And then we're going to fold that in half nice and carefully to try and line it up. There we go. And then using our score tool, just carefully score along that back line there, because there are holes in that, so you don't want it to. And that looks so pretty with the pink coming through. I do like that. And then I'm just going to check my acetate. Now that looks a nice size, so that's going to fit on there nicely. So that's good, we don't need to cut that. So I'm going to put those pieces to one side for the minute, and then I'm going to take my envelope and I'm going to score my envelope now. And then we need to just glue on here just to about halfway up, so that is going to sit down nicely. So, and what I forgot was that it was, whoops, it sticks out slightly, so we're just going to run my fingers down that edge there to get rid of that excess glue down the side. And the only thing I want to finish off with is a piece of double-sided tape just across the top here, so that whoever purchases it can then stick that down, so that will stick down nicely. And then the front is like that and the back's like that. Now I've got these extra hearts that we had that we cut out when we cut out the apertures on the various layers. So I think we're going to stick one of those down. Now I've got two sides to this, but I think clearly the red side is the better of the two to have upways. So put that like that. So that's the front of our envelope, and then we've got the gorgeous back. Okay, so here's our card, and the first thing I want to do is put the acetate on the inside here. So I'm just going to use some of this double-sided tape that I've got here, and I'm just going to pop a few pieces on the corners of my acetate, because I think that's the easiest place. And we can double check that we're happy. The position of it as we're going along actually would be easiest, wouldn't it? There we go. Okay, so that's those ones done. So we're just then going to stick that down. So just making sure that none of the corners go over the edge and none of the tape comes on the aperture. And then we can stick that down, so that's nicely done. Then we're going to take one of our layers, and then that's going to go on the inside here, and then again double checking. Now you can see there's a couple of little corners just popping out there, so we're going to get our scissors and just cut off those corners. So I'm just going to get my adhesive and I'm going to put that all around. Now again, you could use wet glue here if you prefer. Because this is paper, I'm going for the tape rather than the wet glue. Wait, and use my tape pen instead. So then we're going to line up the most important bit, which is to line up the actual heart. Don't stick until I'm ready for you to stick. Stick that down, and then just check through on the other side to make sure it's not showing through, which it's not. So we've covered up our acetate on that side, so it looks pretty. And then we've got that side. Now we're going to get one of our layers. Now since we've got two to choose from, we can have a look and see which one we like the best. Now I definitely like this one the best because you can see the love and the Valentine. This one's a little bit more vague, so we're going to go for that one, and that's going to go down there, and then that creates another nice pretty layer on the top. Okay, and then again we're going to just be very careful because what we want to line up is the heart itself. That's the bit that's important, so that we don't get any overlapping, but we also need to make sure that that bit's roughly right as well. So there we go. That's our front layer done. I think that looks really nice. And then we've got the back, the inside there. And actually, since we have this extra layer, what I thought is would be nice is if we put that inside as well. So there we go. And then what we'll do is we'll pop it on there, lining it up with that piece there like so. And then we'll bring that across to it. And then that should... that doesn't now show through, so we've now got that in the right place. So we've ended up with that really nice extra layer on there, which I think looks really good. Okay, so now we need to put our heart on the front. So we've got the heart here, and I want to glitter that up so before we stick it down. So I'm going to pop it in a little glitter box, and I'm going to use this Spray and Sparkle, which is pink iridescent glitter spray, and I'm just going to spray that on to my little heart. So very carefully, because I don't want Spray and Sparkle going everywhere. And it's not very sparkly, I don't think, so let's just get some actual sparkle. Okay, so I've got two colours here, and I'm just looking, and I think definitely the red one. So I'm just going to spray again, and it is sparkly, but it's just not really sparkly, so I'm hoping that this adhesive will allow the red glitter to stick. I'm going to be a bit more cautious because there's no way of getting the red glitter off the bottom. This is a bit of an normally you do that on your piece of paper and then be able to get your glitter back, but because I wasn't planning on doing it quite like that, I have to kind of lose that glitter, but I think it's going to be worth it, and there's not a lot actually lost. And then look at that. Is that gorgeous? So that's really stuck down nicely on there. I'm going to turn this back over again actually, and I'm just going to spray a little bit of this Spray and Sparkle varnish over the top again, and then then when I turn it over it should just pick up a little bit more of that glitter, hopefully. I'm getting it all over my thing. There you go. I'm just going to add a little bit now of the pink glitter, just to give just a little bit of, just a bit of fun to it really. There we go. So just a tiny bit of the pink, and that will then just, I'm going to use my scissors here because I'm getting it all over my hands. And then you can just see hopefully that you've got the pink coming through, and I think that looks really pretty. So then I'm just going to gently turn that over, and I'm going to get my spray adhesive, put that on the back, very carefully pick it up, just check that it's all got adhesive on, and I'm not entirely sure there's any on that little bottom piece, so I'm just going to put a bit extra on some of these bigger pieces here, just to be sure. There we go. And then take my paper away so that I get a nice clean sheet here, and then I'm going to stick my heart down on the front of my card here, in position like so, and just very carefully push it down, because we don't want to dislodge the glitter until it's completely set. I'll just use my scissors here. And having used the spray adhesive, it should be okay on the back. Yes, because you can't really see that there's any glue. So you've got the double-sided card, so you've got the colour of the double-sided card, and then on the front you've got the lovely glittery heart, which you can then see through to the pink, which is really cool. So we're just going to let that dry, but otherwise that is okay. So here's our finished card. I hope you've enjoyed making that with me. I think my favourite part is the two-tone glitter on the heart there, but I don't know about you, but I think that looks fantastic. I really like that effect. I really like this cartridge. As I said at the beginning, I think you can get some really nice Valentine's cards out of it, and I think it looks really effective having that over the acetate like that. You can see it now better when I've put the white behind, but when you put the pink through, it just looks so pretty as well. It's just a really effective look. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed making this with me. I'd love to hear your comments, and I will see you again next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.